It's 9 months tomorrow that I did the press conference before Cruz Azul at the stadium. And obviously we know that things changed quickly that night. I believe that was the night that the NBA game stopped and Rudy Gobert tested positive. I think that was also the night that Tom and Rita Hanks came out with the word that they had tested positive. And we know that for all of us, the 9 months since have been a challenge. And whenever we talk about that, we talk about our fans and essential workers and people who work in healthcare and law enforcement and everything that they've done to put themselves at risk to try to help during this period of time. So we say a big thank you. And from a team standpoint, we started this season incredibly excited and motivated for Champions League. And certainly the home game against Lyon was one of the highlights in our history. The way we played, the result, the atmosphere in the stadium. And so we've talked to the players to say now we get the chance to get back to Champions League, and that we need the same level of motivation and excitement that we had on that night versus Lyon. And I know the players are excited. Training's been really good, and we can't wait to get to Orlando.
Thanks, Bob. We're going to start here with Kevin Baxter. Kevin, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey, Bob. Thanks for doing this again. I've been thinking a lot about that day too, or that week. You guys were the first professional sporting event in Southern California that was canceled. And as you just said, everything has changed since then. And you did start the season so well. What I was thinking about is the lineup you used in the last MLS game before the pandemic against Philadelphia was probably your first choice lineup for the year. You haven't been able to use that again, but you have it ready now. I'm wondering, as you kind of look at this coming full circle, do you feel like it's not back to normal, but maybe some stability is coming back to the team? You got your number one lineup back together again finally?
We're close, and we've had good training. That's important. There still are some COVID after effects. We still haven't seen Brian Rodriguez. I think he gets back tonight. Needs to be run through some tests tomorrow. But good training and a good mentality is always, those are keys to being ready for a game. And you can sense with the group right now, the motivation and the excitement. So that's why I say that we're ready to get to Orlando and ready for Cruz Azul.
A little housekeeping question. When do you leave? And you will be quarantined again like Orlando, like MLS is back. Certainly you did well in that environment last time.
Yeah, there's all sorts of protocols. I think we're scheduled to leave on Monday. I think when you arrive, you get tested, and then there's some period of time in your rooms until they get those test results back. Our plan would be to train in Orlando Tuesday night, and then the game is Wednesday night. So the amount of time that we're there before the game isn't long. It's enough to make sure that everybody gets tested and that we get a little bit of training, and we're ready to go.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks, Kevin. Next, we're going to go to Andy Diosa. Andy, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey, Bob, how's it going?
Good, Andy.
You kind of mentioned it a little bit in the opening comments, but I was just curious, how is it for you guys trying to get into that mentality? Obviously, you mentioned the Leon fixtures were such a big piece for this club, but we're months removed from that. Obviously, no fans. Situation's a little different. Is it just a thing of mentality, like you've talked about all season, just to get these players to kind of get to the level that, you know, it's a quarterfinal for an international tournament?
Yes. When we won Supporters Shield last year, one of the things that we were so excited about was the opportunity to play in Champions League. And we know how important it is to our fans, and we took it very seriously. The work that we did early in the year to prepare for Lyon was very good. Leon's such a good team. You continue to see how well they're doing, and now they're in the grand final against Pumas. And so a lot has happened. Start, stop, MLS is back, all the rest. But at the end of it, we're still playing with a chance to do something special. And quarterfinal against Cruz Azul says it all.
Thanks, Andy. Next, we're going to go to Alicia Rodriguez. Alicia, go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Thank you. Bob, I wanted to ask about Cruz Azul. We saw sort of best case, worst case scenarios from them in their last two games, a huge win and then a huge collapse and loss. What are you expecting to see from them, and what are you preparing for in facing them for this game?
We've watched them a lot. We think that they're a very good team, very dangerous, some really good attackers. A guy like Jonathan Rodriguez, we know well. He's a real threat. At times they're a direct team. So we've watched them. We have a lot of respect for them. And if you go back to the start of the year when we saw the draw, we knew that the road for us to win was a difficult one. To start with Leon, and we said at that time, maybe they're the best team in Mexico. It was a huge challenge, but we responded well. And now we're thinking about Cruz Azul in the same way.
Thanks, Alicia. We're going to move now to Edward Kauich. Edward, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you, Bob. It's good to see you. It's just a follow-up on Alicia's questions also. For Cruz Azul, this match is clearly more than just a game. Their coach is fighting for his job, and their players are being criticized a lot. Is this something that you guys are taking into account? Just the fact that this team is, for them, it's more than just a game, and that this is gonna be most likely the most watched game in this round.
We focus on our preparation, and we know they'll be ready. We expect a strong response. When you're a good team and you suffer a tough night, then you're motivated for the next game, the next chance. And like us, I know that Cruz Azul considers the Champions League to be really important. But again, we think back to the beginning of the year, the excitement we had, the goal that we had to win Champions League, and the next test is a knockout game against Cruz Azul. So we must be ready to put everything into it to play football where the tempo is high, where our willingness to push forward, create the chances. Again, those were things that we were able to do against Leon. We're going to try to go about it in some of the same ways and still take into account what Cruz Azul will try to do against us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Edward. We're going to now move to Jim Alexander. Jim, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, Bob. Given the way the MLS season panned out for you guys, does that maybe put even more importance on Champions League?
I think that's probably true. But I keep going back to the fact that we started the year knowing that Champions League was a goal. So even if everything had gone perfectly, we'd still be motivated. But we were disappointed with the way the season went. After the long break, we went to Orlando. MLS is back. I thought there were a lot of good moments. We scored a bunch of goals even without Carlos. And then on the return, Carlos injures his knee in the first game. And if you look at everything from that moment on, we were too inconsistent. We had really good games with Seattle. And here they are in the final. We played Seattle 5 times this year. 3 times in Seattle, 1 time in Orlando, 1 time in Bank of California. And we win 2, but we lose 3, including the most important one. Those games all indicate a little bit of what our season's like. Moments where in those games we play really well, where we create chances, but maybe don't take advantage. And then moments where our reactions or our ability to deal with a moment on the field. Good example would be Ladero's goal in Seattle in the playoffs. This is just a play that starts off of a goal kick. He's out on the sideline. We've got him trapped. But when the ball goes up in the air, they're first, and our response isn't fast enough, and he's able to score a really good goal. And so we've talked about how when you play in big games, these specific moments, you don't know when they'll come, but how quickly as a team do you react to situations, or the willingness to run, the willingness to make big plays. That's the step that we still must take. So we are focused on continuing to improve. We still believe in our football. I think throughout the year, anyone that plays us knows that we're capable of doing some really good things. Now we need a more consistent, relentless kind of effort for 90 minutes.
One more thing, even beyond the impact on your team, the importance of Champions League for MLS teams as a whole, is that something that can be overstated? That this is a chance to kind of make a mark within the CONCACAF region?
Sure. In the recent history, some teams have been close. I mean, I know in 2018 what it was like for Toronto to lose in penalties to Chivas. And Toronto was a team that also went into Champions League really motivated because they've seen others come close but not actually win. So I think everyone in MLS wants to be the team now in this sort of new history of CONCACAF Champions League to finally win. And that's a big part of our motivation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Next, we're going to go to Salvador Perez. Salvador, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thanks, Ben. Hi, Bob. How are you?
Good, Salvador.
Thank you, Bob. One quick question. LAFC knows how to play on a bubble. You experimented that on the MLS back tournament. Cruz Azul don't knows that. Don't knows how to play, how to prepare on a bubble for a match. Does this can be an advantage for LAFC, and also taking up the situation that Cruz Azul were out of the tournament, of the Mexican tournament, by losing 4-0 when on the first match they won 4-0?
We have experience going to Orlando. Maybe we can use that in a good way, but we know that both teams will be really motivated. And when the game starts, the way you really get the edge is with being first to plays, being sharper with passes and advantages, reactions. This is the way that big games are won, or obviously on the other side, this is, as I just mentioned, the way big games sometimes are lost. So we don't think that because we've been in a bubble that automatically means that everything goes our way. You have to earn this. When you play in the biggest games against big teams, it's a moment at a time. It's a play at a time. It sounds, it's a boring thing to say, let's face it, but this is football. This is still the way big teams respond when there's an advantage, how quickly they go, the quality of execution, the way they can take chances, or defensively, the way the best teams still come through in different moments with a reaction or a tackle or a big save. So we are a team that focuses on how we can improve in these details.
Thanks, Bob. Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Salvador. Next question, we're gonna go to Scott French. Scott, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey, Bob. I'm wondering, this is interesting timing in the tournament in terms of where MLS is in terms of its business, its business calendar. We're already going through roster moves and so forth. What kind of impact does that have on you guys heading into this tournament?
It's made everything a little bit more complicated because certainly if you have a player and you don't pick up his option, then in most cases that player feels that they need to start thinking about what comes next. So we've dealt with those situations, but we have a group of guys that have been training really well, and that's the focus.
How big is your roster for this game?
Yeah, I mean, we're traveling with a regular sized group. Okay. So that includes our young players, in training. Lately, we've still been able to train in a good way with everybody being available. So the exact number off the top of my head, Scott, I don't know.
Well, it's a thing where this tournament, where it usually is in the calendar, it's always been an advantage for Mexican teams. Is this another thing that's just an advantage for Mexican teams?
I don't know. I mean, let's see what happens with the games. They both of us in this case are at the end of the season. We've been off a little longer, but we've not been off that long. And neither of us achieved the goal of getting to the final or winning our respective cups. But I believe that both clubs are the same, that for the fans and for the history of the club, the opportunity to win Champions League is huge. So for us, that's the only way to discuss it, but to discuss it every day. That's the only way that we've been working.
Bob, I guess what I meant was the Mexican clubs do not have the same roster limitations that you guys have.
Yeah, I mean, so it might mean, Scott, that there's one or two guys that would otherwise be available for us that aren't.
Yeah.
But
it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's opportunities for different guys, and so it's pointless to spend too much time. It's been a whole year where I think every time I've had a chance to speak, I talk about our team, I talk about our football. I've not throughout the year talked about the guys that aren't available or COVID or anything else, because look, the challenges around the world for everyone are so big that nobody wants to hear football coaches complain about anything. And we don't think about anything where we start like making a list of all the things that we're unhappy with. We're excited with the chance to play in the quarterfinal. What do we think about? We think about playing our best game. We think about the tempo and trying to be a team that's on top of every ball and plays 90 minutes like there's no tomorrow. So this part of a team where every time you step on the field, you have that chance. If you come up a little short, then you have to be honest and look at things and then see if the way you discuss and the way you look at some video helps the next time. So since the Seattle game, that's the way we've worked. I'll continue to say, I think training's been really good. The tempo's been fast. There's been a lot of intensity every day. And there's a really good sense from the group about going to Orlando.